In this video, we're going to be going over the Overwatch 2 Season 5 DPS tier list, because there's been quite a bit of changes, and they affect every single DPS character in their impact. So we're going to rank them from best to worst, so that you know exactly what heroes you should be locking in and grinding this season. But I have a second non-Overwatch FPS channel, and in order to promote it, I'm running a Battle Pass giveaway. So if you go and subscribe to the channel right now in the links down below, you'll get entered in for a chance to win up to 3 battle passes. So do me a solid, check it out, see if you like it, and let's jump into the video. First off, we got to talk about Ashe, and Ashe is a lot better in this patch than in previous patches, primarily because one of the snipers that counters her the best, aka Widowmaker, is a lot weaker. Now, this doesn't mean that Ashe is suddenly going to be the best character in the game by any means, but this character can deal with a lot and plays into a lot of compositions. What she can deal with is a lot of the flyers and long distance characters. She can deal with divers, one-tapping characters like Tracer, and she plays with the pocket incredibly well, probably one of the best characters to pocket right now. In addition to that, Bob is still one of the best ultimates in the DPS category, and I do think that outside of her uptime, Ashe has very few weaknesses. And while I definitely wouldn't pick her necessarily if I didn't have a pocket, so she's a bit reliant in that regard, she's still a very strong character, and I think she deserves the A tier respectively. Now, we do got to talk about Bastion, and Bastion is kind of in a rough situation. Sure, he's going to have times where he's okay, right? He's going to have situations where you can whip him out and shut down certain inty tanks, but a lot of the time, you're not going to get a lot of value out of this character unless the enemy is playing specifically into the Bastion or there's set conditions. I don't think that he has any meta place right now. He's never going to see any high-level play, really. He's never going to see any pro play, really. He can see some ranked play in metal ranks sometimes. For that reason, I'm putting him in the D tier. I think he's fine to whip out. And if you're a Bastion main, good luck, because I think this character is a bit too easy to counter. And on average, unless the conditions are properly set for you to get value, you're not going to do anything on this character, and you're going to be a big target. Next up, we do got to talk about Echo. I do think that overall, Echo is still a really powerful character. Ever since the changes that she got, where she got ultimate quite a bit faster, while this doesn't allow her to generate ultimate as much when she does copy, especially when it was centered around a queen meta, she got a ton of value. And while we won't see as much queen, we still will see really great copy targets. Characters like Ramadra are still really great to copy. And overall, I do think that Echo is just a really powerful character that fights on a little bit of a different axis than Pharah does, not as all in, and plays a bit better without a pocket. Your ultimate's really strong. One of the best, if not the best, potential DPS ultimates in the entire category, because it can really win a fight by itself if you're copying the right target. I'm going to put this character pretty high up in the B tier. I think she's actually pretty strong. Now, we do got to talk about Widowmaker, and it's strange because this character could still be really powerful. It's unclear at this point how much the change will impact her pro pick rate, but for ranked play, the character's inconsistency is a huge deal. And I understand that a lot of people are still going to try to lock this character, but you got to think about it. From many of the maps that Widow's the best at, there is a percentage of failure with your shots. And we've already seen what a percentage of failure on your one shots can do when the small change happened to Roadhog. It's a big deal. And I think that a lot of people are going to start playing other options, specifically characters like Hanzo, Sojourn, and Ashe. It's going to make Widow played a lot less. She's easier to counter by a lot of these characters. They can kill her for max range. I mean, really, she's a C tier character right now. She's not very strong, unfortunately. I don't think that she's unplayable, but you're probably not going to see that many Widowmaker players at all, so keep that in mind. Now, Tracer got a weird change. She got a bug fix that would have buffed her, and they compensated that by giving her a nerf. So it's kind of unclear exactly how much that affected her. It doesn't really seem to have largely affected her power level right now, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. Still, even if they made this character a fair bit weaker, she's still an S tier character. I'm sorry, she's pro play, ranked play, the best thing that you could be doing in Overwatch. She's really kind of an all-star. And I understand there's things that could stop her, things that can shut her down. There's always been things that can stop her and shut her down, but individually, you have so much carry potential on this character. If you master her, she's an S tier pick, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Now, the next character that we have for you on the list is Hanzo, and Hanzo did get a bit of a nerf. It can no longer one-shot 250 HP heroes like Mei and Reaper. Now, the thing is, Mei's really the only one that really sees any play right now. You can't one-shot Torb either, which we'll talk about in a second. But really, Hanzo is still just as strong in many ways. Like, for the most part, this character is just the same. And I'm actually very surprised that they didn't nerf him more, because he was already very strong. Now, I will say that there are other characters that I think get a little bit better than Hanzo in the new meta, and Hanzo was just a really, really great pick into a lot of like the double sniper meta as of old. Still, though, I think that Hanzo is really, really great on a lot of those poke maps. He's good against many compositions. He's flexible. I think that he's just one of the best things to be doing right now, and for these reasons, I'm still putting him in the S tier. I think that Hanzo still deserves S tier, and he has good matchups against a lot of the best characters that are played right now. Sure, he's worse against characters like Torb and Mei, but for the most part, he's still really, really strong. I'm still thinking he deserves the S tier. Now, we do got to talk about Torb, and Torb is a weird character because I think this character is actually really strong right now. Like, really, really strong. You got to think about her Tracer being one of the most powerful, characters like Cassidy and Hanzo seeing a lot of play. Torb is fine against a lot of them. He's not going to get one shot by Hanzo. He's not going to be in range for a Cassidy to stick him, really. I mean, of course, Cassidy could technically stick you across the map, but you're not mobilitying his backline, right? So you're not really the target of his abilities. And Tracer has a hard time against Torb and Torb turret. In a lot of these poke wars, in a lot of these brawl wars, Torb is so good. I really think that we're kind of in a Torb meta. Like, I almost want to put Torb in S tier. But I'm going to hope that that's not the case. But yeah, Torb is so strong. So freaking strong right now. It's kind of hard to put him anywhere but the top of A. I mean, he's just that dominant right now, and it's a bit crazy. Now, we do got to talk about Sojourn. And Sojourn, I think, is going to be one of the big winners going into this new patch. She doesn't have to deal with Widowmaker nearly as much, which was a fairly hard matchup before. She still has problems with Hanzo, but with a pocket, I think she's just really, really good against most matchups, and she's probably going to take the place of Widowmaker in a lot of these poke compositions with Sigma and Hanzo. I think she's really good, and I do think that she either deserves S or high A. I'm going to put her here, but I could see her very easily going up into the S tier. We're going to have to wait and see exactly where she falls, but she's definitely a really, really great pick. I think she's a bit stronger than Ashe, especially if we think about playing her without a pocket. I think she's a bit stronger than Ashe. And with the pocket, I think she might be a little bit stronger. It's pretty close, though. Overall, they're all in, like, this upper echelon of characters that is just really powerful. Now, let's talk about Mei. And Mei's changes are a little strange because in some ways, Mei is stronger, and in some ways, she's weaker. I think against DPS characters, having the raw damage was just better, as opposed to the slow. You would rather just have more raw damage. But against many of the tanks, that's a huge deal. Being able to slow them is really, really big. And I think it's really great against characters like Queen, characters like Rhine, Ramatra. I mean, yeah, even Zarya potentially if she has no bubbles. I think that Mei is just kind of a menace. Even with her changes, she's still a menace. She's been a menace. I'm going to put her here in the A tier. I think that you could justify her being in the S tier, but Mei is just kind of crazy. Just like ridiculous right now. She has been ridiculous before. I mean, just the wall, the freeze, the blizzard, the ice block. These are what make Mei strong. I don't really care what iteration those are in. They're really, really strong in a meta that has a lot of brawl characters. Mei's just kind of super, super great. Even if they're playing a lot of the dive characters like Diva or Ball, you're still perfectly fine on Mei. Sombra. Still really, really great. Still really, really strong. I do think that Sombra gets a little bit weaker going into this patch. Just slightly weaker, especially after grinding this patch quite a bit. I do think that she's good, but there's one character in particular that makes Sombra, you know, have to be on her toes a little bit more. And Sombra's just not really getting away with as much as she has been getting in the past meta. I do think that she's still really, really good, but I think that there's more characters in the pool that can counter her, shut her down. Torb is a frustrating character to deal with. Ashe can be frustrating. Hanzo, all frustrating. Cassidy, very frustrating. There's a lot of characters that can really make your life a living hell. I still think that you're really good in a dive composition and a brawl centered around like a Junkrat Queen. You can definitely play in those compositions, but I don't think that you're as strong just based on how the meta has moved around you. I'm going to put you at the top of B. Still think you're good, not as strong as you were before. Okay, next off, we do got to talk about Symmetra. I think that Symmetra is fine. I think in the right hands, you can definitely dominate with her on ranked, and especially in the meta rank, she's really, really good. Kind of the same as she's always been. It's not like there's any metas that are existing around her, but I think that on some maps, you can get really creative with your teleport, and overall, I think she's a really, really great metal ranked character to pub stomp and stuff like that. I think she's good, not great. I'm putting her in the B tier. I think that's fair. I don't think that she's as bad as some of the lower ranked characters, but I don't think that she's as meta defining as the upper ranked characters. So now let's talk about Soldier 76. Kind of for a lot of the same reasons. I'm going to put Soldier down here. He doesn't have as much objective power level as many of the other hit scans. And I think that while he does have mobility, there are other characters that fit the mobility that you would want more. Like, I would rather have another hit scan in his slot, whether that's Sojourn or whether that's just a completely different character entirely to pair along with the Tracer rather than Soldier 76. I think he's fine. There's nothing really that wrong with him, but he's not going to really take over a game in the same way as some of these other characters could. He's not as good as being pocketed either. I think he's just lukewarm. He's just a lukewarm character. Nothing wrong with him. Nothing amazing about him. I think he's perfectly reasonable to climb all the way up to the highest ranks to play with, but I also don't necessarily think that he's like the #1 pick that you should be locking. So I'm going to put him in the B tier. Cassidy. Now, I want to make it clear before we even, place him, regardless of how strong this character ends up being in pro play and when people solve ranked, because, sometimes a new character gets introduced, it takes a while for people to figure out exactly how good the character is. Regardless of that, I'm going to place him here based on his perceived power level and how much he's being picked. And right now, it's just a slam dunk. He deserves the S tier for those 2 reasons alone. Now, this doesn't mean that this character is weak, because he's not. The fact that you turn off movement abilities when you stick his grenade is so strong against so much in the cast. It kind of just makes it so mobility heavy characters just kind of get shut down, and they can get shut down from range. Characters like Ball, Doomfist, freaking a nightmare to deal with. Characters even like just hitting a Tracer when she's doing someone else, hitting a Sombra. There's a million characters that you hit and they're just dead. I really do think that this character definitely has vulnerabilities. He can get pushed, he can get run down, he can get outplayed. There's a lot that you can do against the Cassidy, but him being able to roll, take less damage, the fact that he's really, really lethal, the fact that you could play a comp around him to keep him alive, like play a Brig bodyguard style to keep him alive. You play a Cassidy with a Life Weaver, which I was having a lot of fun with on stream, locking it down with the Sauce Boss. It was super, super fun getting that platform going up high noon and doing stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. I do think that Cassidy is super, super strong. All in all, though, I will say that that I think this character is actually really, really gonna be good overall. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets changed, but right now, I think that you should be locking Cass. I think that especially if you're in like Diamond and below, he's like a really, really free way to get a lot of value right now. Fan tanks a lot. Stick people that are out of position and fan them. I mean, yeah, it's kind of cheesy, but it works. He's super strong right now. He's warping the meta around him, whether he's strong or not, just based on how much he's being picked. So just keep that in mind. Cass is kind of him right now. Next off, we do got to talk about Genji. Genji got a buff. Genji got a freaking buff. And the buff that he got in question was he got 30 ammo, which is actually a big deal for Genji mains. And I think that Genji has actually been stronger. Like, he's been actually decent. I played Genji a lot. I had like almost a 70% win rate on stream playing him in GM 1 through 3. And I think he felt decent. Having that extra ammo felt good. I do think that it helps that a lot of the characters that are seeing play right now, you're fine against, like, especially in the DPS slot, like, you're fine against Cass. You have the means to fight him and deflect his cooldowns. You're good against Hanzo, really, really good against Hanzo. So those two things definitely help. I think those help more than anything else, that you're good against those 2 characters. And of course, you're good against Ana, you're good against Zen, like, you're good against these characters. You're fine against, like, in a lot of ways, you're fine against characters like Brig, even being able to dive her out of position if you have a dive comp. I think Genji's actually pretty good. I would say that he is probably about here, about B. I think he's actually fine right now. Perfectly reasonable to climb with. But he's not as free for you as some of these other characters, in my opinion. Junkrat. I'm actually going to put Junkrat here. I don't know if I put him above or below Widowmaker. I think Junkrat is fine on certain maps, unless you're a wizard at Junkrat, and you know who I'm talking about. If you're a wizard, like some Junkrat guys can just make magic happen. And yeah, I mean, if you're that kind of person, if you're that good at Junkrat, you don't even care about this list. You don't even care about this list. But objectively, if you're someone looking to pick up Junkrat for the first time, I would say that this isn't the time to do it, because he's overall weak. He has a lot of really bad matchups. He's not really good against Hanzo. He's not really good against Cass. He's not good against Sojourn. He's not good against Ashe. He's not good against Echo. He's not good against Pharah. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, it just kind of goes on and on for this character. You have bad tank matchups like D.Va. You have, like, it's kind of rough. It's rough out there. There's some strengths to him. I think he has a really powerful ultimate. I think you can one-shot people if you know how to position well, and you can get good spam spots, but overall, character's fairly weak. I'm actually going to put him lower than Widowmaker. I'm going to put him right here. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they decided to nerf the consistency of his one-shot. I feel like that shouldn't have happened to the character. But yeah. Anyways, I'm putting him here. Reaper. Now, Reaper, he technically got a slight buff because he can't get one-shot by Hanzo anymore. So you're not really getting hard countered by Hanzo in the same way as you were before. Still not great against him, but you're not being hard countered, which is nice. But Cassidy freaking stops your abilities, which is so annoying. Like, why did they do that? This character needs a buff, and you also can't fade out of things like Grav anymore. It's crazy. They put my character, I'm going to put him in the D tier. I think he's actually, like, here, which is crazy, because before I think he was, like, here, and I think that they should have buffed him slightly, because he was already one of the weaker DPS in the whole roster, and they freaking nerfed him. I don't understand it. I'm sorry, Reaper mains. I think he's actually really weak right now, unfortunately. Certainly, there are maps you can play him on and give value on, like Ilios. A lot of Ilios maps are really good for him. Pretty much both of the Ilioses besides Ruins, I think, is good for Reaper. Any map that you can find easy teleports up to the high ground, take that high ground and be able to drop on enemies, I think is good overall. And I think if you're really crafty with him, just like a Junkrat main, you can get value with him in a lot of places. But it is so unfortunate that they freaking basically effectively nerfed this character, and he did not deserve it. Like, he was already weak, and they nerfed him. Crazy. Pharah. I think Pharah is good, really good. I'm gonna put Pharah here. I think Pharah and Genji are about the same. In a lot of situations, Echo's gonna be better, and I think especially with what is seeing play right now, specifically like Ashe and Cassidy, Pharah is gonna have a hard time unless you're really, really good and disciplined with her. And Echo's a bit more flexible in that regard. I still think that there's some maps where Pharah is super dominant, of course. And there's some maps where you can play the skybox and there's no Widow to really counter you in the same way. But those maps are few and far between, and it's not like we're in like a dominant Pharah meta or anything like that. So I'm going to put her around here. And this is really where I would leave the hero tier list right now for DPS. I think this is fairly accurate. And really, these three are probably the most powerful characters that you can play on the meta, and I would highly suggest playing any of these three if you want free wins, or I would suggest Torb and Mei as characters, especially if you're not a DPS main and you want to get really high on DPS. Play one of these two characters, and that's what I would highly suggest for you. So, anyways, do you agree or disagree with my tier list here? Why or why not? And what character do you want to see buffed or nerfed in the DPS catalog? Definitely let me know, and don't forget to subscribe to my second channel if you want a chance to win 3 free battle passes. But thank you so much for coming by. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.